Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today I'm going to talk about some of my top concerns for Destiny 2 and bring up some of the common community criticisms of the game. And I know many of you are thinking, oh no, please, Level, no more Destiny 2, we can't take it. Talk about the new female soldier image from In the Name of the Tsar DLC for Battlefield 1. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I don't know what you want me to say about it. It's a new graphic. I mean, we could sit here and speculate for the next 5 minutes about what that means, but I'm not going to. I want to talk about Destiny 2 because I'm excited for it, but I'm also really annoyed with a lot of the stuff that Bungie has pulled. Now let's start off by talking about Destiny 2's graphics. This is definitely one of the bigger criticisms I've seen going around the internet. When they launched the reveal trailer for it and everything going on, it was pretty clear from the start that Destiny 2 looked very much like Destiny 1. Same enemies, very similar character animations, similar UI. The graphics really looked pretty much the same. I will say that the PC experience in 4K is much more pleasant than the console experience, and the graphical fidelity is way more impressive. Higher resolution textures and all that kind of stuff really comes across on the PC, and the console version could be argued that it does look a little bit better than the first one, but it's not a big upgrade from Destiny 1. Now there's plenty of games out there, even plenty of AAA shooters, that don't reinvent the wheel every time they come out with a new sequel. Battlefield 4 looked very similar to Battlefield 3. They were clearly using an engine that had only been slightly upgraded. A lot of the Call of Duty games don't really push the envelope graphically between titles or even with their character animations or weapon models. And the same can certainly be said about Destiny 2. However, there are some benefits to this, and it's why I'm willing to forgive Bungie a bit on not pushing the envelope too far with Destiny 2 when it comes to visuals. Reusing an engine or a graphics system and not really pushing it too far allows you to spend more time on the development of new content. If you don't have to reinvent the wheel, redesign an engine and find new bugs and iron out those bugs and polish up things, you can spend more time on developing content, which was the biggest criticism of Destiny 1, especially at launch, was just lack of content, lack of things to do. If Bungie can remedy that situation, then Destiny 2 will be a better game at launch in comparison to Destiny 1. And if there's any criticism or feedback that Bungie has taken from the first game, it has to have been the content. So without question, I think that's something that they've probably put priority one on, is creating more content, better content, a better storyline that's better integrated to the campaign itself. If Bungie has done this, then it's going to be a much more engaging and immersive experience. Now let's talk about the multiplayer side of things. Obviously, this channel focuses mostly on multiplayer. Rarely do we cover single player titles. And I'm really excited for Destiny 2 multiplayer, and I was really excited for Destiny 1 multiplayer because so many things about Destiny remind me of Halo. Bungie's making Destiny, obviously, and the player movement and the style of fighting is very reminiscent of Halo. So getting Destiny 2 on PC is sort of like, in a way, getting kind of a Halo-esque style game on PC, which is really exciting. However, it's going to be a peer-to-peer networked game, which is extremely disappointing. I mean, I played some really good peer-to-peer networked multiplayer games, said nobody ever, because they're all crap. I understand the benefits of doing peer-to-peer gaming from a developer standpoint. You don't have to be responsible for hosting your own servers. The players themselves become the servers. The problem is that I've never played a peer-to-peer game that had good, robust netcode. It never felt snappy. It never felt responsive in the way that games with dedicated servers feel. And Destiny 1 had some of the worst netcode I have ever experienced in all of my history of multiplayer gaming. I mean, maybe if I went back to like the 90s or something, I'm sure I could find a multiplayer title that felt like crap. But then again, I was also playing on dial-up. So the fact that Destiny 1 has had such bad networking and multiplayer compared to any game with a dedicated server is really a joke. And the fact that Bungie is like, yeah, let's just keep working with the peer-to-peer network is basically like saying, hey, this game's never really going to be taken seriously as a multiplayer shooter. The multiplayer is going to come secondary to the campaign, and it's never going to be intended as a serious experience overall, but more of a time waster. Now, all that being said, I'm still very excited to play Destiny 2. I did enjoy the multiplayer of Destiny 1. I really enjoyed the campaign of Destiny 1. Despite all the flaws and the criticisms with the game, I think Bungie still made a pretty solid title, and if Destiny 2 is better than the first one, then I think we're in for a real treat. I also think it's a game that's really going to appeal to the PC audience out there. MMO style games, grindy games where you're getting gear and loot and fighting bosses and going on raids, that's always been a PC centric style of game mode, and the fact that it's finally coming to the PC is really exciting. However, the fact that it's coming to PC after console is a huge letdown. Bungie's official response to this is that they need to spend more time optimizing and making sure that the PC version of the game is as good as it possibly can be before they launch it. The downside to this is that as a PC gamer, it makes me feel like Bungie really doesn't care about the PC platform as much if they're willing to launch the game on the other platforms before PC, especially when so much of the game revolves around the campaign and the secrets and the storyline and stuff like that. It's going to be hard to avoid spoilers for 4 to 6 months after the game comes out if you don't want to know what happens. A big part of Destiny 1 was finding the secrets and completing the raids before anybody else did. It was really cool watching the first clans or the first guilds completing some of those raids and discovering the timing sequences and secrets behind it. That's something that the PC community is going to be completely robbed of. I mean, it's possible that you might have an entire group of friends that is totally avoiding the console platform altogether and not reading any stuff online or watching the guides or anything like that. But unless you set that up ahead of time and have that, chances are by the time you get to the raid on PC, somebody from console will be playing on there and just kind of tell you how to get through the raid, or be like, all right, you stand over here, now you do this, and you won't have that sort of mystery or fun of discovering it for the first time. So my biggest criticisms for Destiny 2 right now are the peer-to-peer matchmaking for multiplayer, which affects all platforms. And then there is, of course, the delayed release for PC. Again, we don't know how long that delay is, but if it is actually 4 to 6 months, that's going to be a huge issue for the PC player base. That being said, there's a lot of cool things that I like about Destiny 2. The campaign mission that was played at the event is basically the same as they showed in the live stream. It's incredibly engaging. The narrative is built in much better to the mission itself. And if the rest of the missions are going to be of that level quality, I think we can expect a really fun time from the single player campaign overall. I really enjoyed the single player campaign from Destiny 1 despite the crappy storyline. The gameplay itself was actually pretty fun, and the baddies this time around felt a little bit less bullet spongy. Aside from the bosses, it felt like it was just more tactical getting through the enemies, and you didn't have to just put mag after mag into one bad guy to down him. And that's really good. It seems like maybe Bungie has sort of refined their gameplay from the first game. Now, another very divisive area of Destiny 1 was just how grindy of an experience it was. I don't know how much you guys played Destiny 1, but there was some of those glimmer guides for basically getting glimmer as fast as possible, and you would just zoom around the open world on a very set path, opening chests and killing basic bad guys. It was incredibly boring, and unfortunately one of the fastest ways, at least at certain points, to get glimmer in the game that allowed you to get new items and upgrade your character and all that kind of stuff. But this time around, it sounds like the devs are adding in some cool things to make it a bit more interesting. Sure, there will be grinding. You'll go out there into the open world and kill baddies to level up and gain gear and items and stuff. But they're adding things like adventures to the game, which are going to be 10 to 15 minute long side quests or side missions with narratives and dialogues. In addition to that, they're also adding what they're calling lost sectors, which are basically going to be dungeons. And these dungeons will appear randomly throughout the game world. I think randomly throughout the game world. And as you're in the game world, you might see a symbol, and that symbol will light up and sort of indicate that you're near a dungeon's entrance. And when you go in, you'll fight through the dungeon. They'll have a boss and loot at the end and all that kind of stuff. And that sounds really exciting. Reminds me a lot of like a dungeon in Diablo. And especially if these dungeons are somewhat randomly generated or something, that could be really fun and add a whole new dimension to the grinding of Destiny, making it more interesting, more random, and just generally more fun. Destiny 2 is still going to be a huge AAA production. It's going to be a beautiful looking first-person shooter, and it is finally coming out on PC. So as I often do with up-and-coming games, I will remain cautiously optimistic, and I'll keep you guys up to date on whatever we learn about this title. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.